Imagine living in a van with your entire family. Imagine being so poor you can't afford food. Imagine dropping out of school at 15 to work as a janitor just to help your family survive. Now, imagine writing yourself a check for $10 million when you have absolutely nothing. Dating it for Thanksgiving 1995 and keeping it in your wallet as a reminder of what you will achieve. Would people call you crazy? Would you call yourself delusional? Or would you believe so deeply in your dreams that nothing could stop you? This is the story of a boy who had every reason to give up, but instead became one of the greatest comedic actors in history. This is the story of Jim Carrey. James Eugene Carrey was born on January 17, 1962, in Ontario, Canada. He was the youngest of 4 children in a working-class family that struggled constantly with money. His father, Percy, was a musician and accountant who had given up his dreams to provide for his family. His mother, Kathleen, struggled with chronic illness and pain, often bedridden for days at a time. But despite the difficulties, young Jim discovered he had a special gift. He could make people laugh. At home, he would perform for his sick mother, doing impressions and making funny faces to cheer her up. At school, his teachers noticed that while he struggled academically, he had an incredible talent for entertaining others. One teacher even made a deal with him. If he stayed quiet during lessons, she'd give him the last 10 minutes of class to perform. Jim took that deal seriously, preparing comedy routines that had the entire class roaring with laughter. His father saw the gift to it. Percy would drive young Jim to comedy clubs in Toronto, encouraging him to pursue his talent, even though they had no money and no connections. At age 15, Jim was so confident he put together a comedy act and performed at Yuck Yucks, a famous club in Toronto. He wore a bright yellow suit his mother made for him and performed impressions. He bombed terribly. The audience barely laughed. He was devastated. But his father told him something he never forgot. Don't give up. You have something special. You just need to find your voice. Jim went back to practicing, developing his act, finding his unique style. And slowly, he got better. But then, disaster struck. When Jim was 16, his father lost his job. The family's financial situation, already difficult, became desperate. They lost their home. They had nowhere to go. The entire family moved into a Volkswagen camper van. They parked it in various places, trying to find somewhere safe to sleep each night. Jim dropped out of high school. He took a job as a janitor at a factory, working 80-hour shifts cleaning toilets and floors. His father worked as a security guard at the same factory. After his janitorial shift, Jim would go home to the van, exhausted, humiliated, and angry at the world. He later said, "I learned then what it's like to be broke and working so hard that you're way too tired to dream." That feeling of hopelessness stays with you. But even in those darkest moments, Jim never let go of his dream. He kept practicing his comedy. He kept doing impressions in front of the mirror. He kept believing that, somehow, he would make it. After months of living in the van, the family finally scraped together enough money to rent a small house. Jim went back to performing at comedy clubs whenever he could, slowly building a reputation. At 19, he made a bold decision. He packed his bags and moved to Los Angeles to pursue comedy and acting professionally. He had almost no money, no contacts, no guarantees, but he had belief. In Los Angeles, Jim struggled for years. He performed at comedy clubs, slowly building a following. He was talented, but so were hundreds of other comedians trying to make it. He auditioned for television shows and movies constantly. He was rejected over and over again. Casting directors told him he was too weird, too over the top, too much. But Jim had a ritual that kept him going. One night in 1985, when he was broke and discouraged, he drove his old Toyota up to the Hollywood Hills. He parked overlooking the city, looked out at all the lights, and visualized his future success. Then he wrote himself a check for $10 million. In the memo line, he wrote, "For acting services rendered." He dated it, Thanksgiving 1995, 10 years in the future. He kept that check in his wallet every single day as a reminder of what he was working toward. People thought he was crazy, but Jim didn't care. He believed slowly, opportunities started coming. He got small roles. In 1990, he was cast on the sketch comedy show In Living Color, where his elastic facial expressions and outrageous characters made him a standout performer. Audiences loved him. Hollywood started paying attention, but he still hadn't gotten his big break in movies. Then, in 1994, everything changed. Jim was cast as the lead in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. The script wasn't considered prestigious. The budget was small. Many actors had turned it down. But Jim saw potential. He threw himself completely into the role, creating one of the most memorable comedic characters in film history. When Ace Ventura was released, it became a surprise hit, earning over $100 million. Jim Carrey became an overnight sensation. Just a few months later, The Mask was released. Another massive hit. Then in December 1994, Dumb and Dumber came out. Another huge success. In less than 1 year, Jim Carrey had starred in 3 major box office hits. He went from a struggling actor to the biggest comedy star in Hollywood, and then came the moment he'd been waiting for. In 1995, he was offered a major role in a blockbuster film. His payment, $10 million. Jim remembered the check he'd written himself a decade earlier. He pulled it out of his wallet, looked at the date, Thanksgiving 1995. It was almost exactly 10 years since he'd written it. His visualization had become reality. He later placed that check in his father's pocket at his funeral. His father had passed away just as Jim's career was taking off, but Jim wanted him to know the dream they'd shared had come true. But Jim didn't stop there. He wanted to prove he was more than just a comedy actor. In 1998, he took a dramatic role in The Truman Show, playing a man who discovers his entire life is a reality TV show. Critics were stunned. Jim received a Golden Globe for Best Actor. Then, in 1999, he starred in Man on the Moon, portraying the legendary comedian Andy Kaufman. His performance was so transformative that he won another Golden Globe. He proved he could do it all. He went on to star in beloved films like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Bruce Almighty, becoming one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood. Throughout his career, Jim has been remarkably open about his struggles with depression and his journey to find meaning beyond success. He's spoken about how achieving all his dreams didn't automatically make him happy, and how true fulfillment comes from within. He once said, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of, so they can see that it's not the answer." But he's also said, "You can fail at what you don't want. So you might as well take a chance on doing what you love." He's used his platform to support numerous charitable causes, especially helping children and families in need, remembering what it was like when his own family struggled. Today, Jim Carrey is worth over $180 million. He starred in some of the most beloved films in history, but he never forgot what it felt like to live in a van, to clean toilets while dreaming of stardom, to be told he was too weird for Hollywood. He kept that $10 million check as a reminder that belief, visualization, and relentless work can turn the impossible into reality. He proved that your circumstances don't define your destiny, that poverty doesn't determine your worth, that being different isn't a weakness, it's your greatest strength. So if you're struggling right now, if you feel like giving up, if people are telling you your dreams are too big or too crazy, remember Jim Carrey. He lived in a van, he dropped out of school, he cleaned toilets, he was rejected countless times, but he wrote himself a check for $10 million when he had nothing. He believed when nobody else did. He kept going when it would have been easier to quit, and he became one of the most successful and inspiring actors in the world. Your current situation is not your final destination. Your struggle today is building your strength for tomorrow. Your crazy dream might just be crazy enough to come true. As Jim says, "I wake up some mornings and sit and have my coffee and look out at my beautiful garden, and I go, remember how good this is, because you can lose it." So keep dreaming, keep believing, keep working. Write yourself that check, set that impossible goal, visualize your success. Because your breakthrough might be just one more attempt away, one more moment of absolute belief in yourself. The world needs your unique gift. The world needs your story. Now go out there and make it happen. Thanks for watching.